What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the WeSportin podcast. Just want to inform everybody right now. I told Dylan to pick a jersey. He didn't pick the right one, so therefore I had to wear this stupid Tom Brady jersey. Okay, I'm not bandwagoning the Patriots.
I got my new AJ Brown jersey in, and he's wearing Tom Brady.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, right. It's so. If I could just put up, you know what I mean. Anyways, so today we're going to be going over the AFC matchups that we have this week. We have 3 matchups this week. We have 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, and we're actually going to start with the one that's on Sunday, just because it's going to be quick, easy, and we don't really need to discuss it at all. So Sunday night in the beautiful Arrowhead Stadium, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking a weird trip down to Arrowhead to go play Kansas City. I just don't know why Pitt wanted to make the playoffs. I really don't. They needed a quarterback. It was a weird thing. I don't know. I guess I could see why. I mean, Big Ben's last trip down there, have him make the playoffs. I get it, but now it's just like I don't really know why Pitt made the playoffs. You know what I mean?
They made the playoffs because they wanted to give Ben a last ride. The issue is that they're playing Kansas City, who just beat them in Week 16, by 30 points. It goes a blowout.
Yeah, I do believe the final score was 36-10.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I mean, so going into this game, ESPN does give Kansas City the very marginal edge of 75%, 75.9, so around to 76% out of the 24% chance that Pittsburgh has.
What's the betting odds on
it? The betting odds, the over-under is 46.5, surprisingly. So they're thinking that this game is going to either be a 1-touchdown game. I'm a little surprised, honestly, that the game that they're even having at 46.5, maybe they have Kansas City with the same amount, 36-10 again. I don't know. This game's going to be really close, obviously, with a lot of key guys that the Kansas City Chiefs do need to watch out for. Because, I mean, this Pittsburgh team, when it's hot, it's a little scary, I will say. But the one thing that it does lack is the O-line. With that's something that the Chiefs have been very, very good at in the last couple of weeks with the new addition of former Steeler Melvin Ingram, who they traded off this season to the Kansas City Chiefs, and which Melvin Ingram has probably been one of the top statistical edge rushers or pass rushers in the league off of stats. So Dylan, what do you think Pittsburgh guy has to do if they want to walk out of Arrowhead with some form of hope?
Yeah, so first off, Kansas City is favored by 12.5. They're favored by 2 scores. They're basically favored by 2 touchdowns. And Melvin Ingram's been decent. It's really the big part to the Chiefs defense is they need Chris Jones, right? Mm-hmm. Chris Jones is a very impactful defensive tackle because he can rush the passer and he can play the run really well, which when you have that type of player, it frees up your edge rushers, stuff like that to make plays, and the quarterback can't just sit in the pocket. But Chris Jones always has injury concerns, right? He's always kind of been a little injury. Yeah. Here's the big issue, is Tyreek Hill is not healthy at all. They probably shouldn't have beat Denver, if we're being honest. I mean, other than an 80-yard fumble return, they would have lost to Denver. They probably shouldn't have beaten Denver. But they did, so that's fair. If Pittsburgh wants to win, they have to force feed Najee Harris. That's kind of obvious, right? Force feed him. Just give him the ball. This is a 35-carry game for Najee Harris. Defensively, you have to create pressure on Patrick Mahomes, make him make mistakes, which he does, okay? Let's not act like this 12-game stretch that he was on when he was playing like hot garbage just dissipated from his mind, and he's just some new quarterback. He's still prone. The competition just got worse, all right? You saw when he was playing really good Super Bowl teams, he was throwing picks. Even Washington, he threw 3 picks too.
Yeah, he did throw about 3 picks.
He starts playing Vegas. He starts playing weak secondaries, and that's when he's been playing good. If the secondary gets good and you lock up Kelsey and you get pass rush, Pittsburgh could sneak out with a win. It's going to be close. But if they can just make Mahomes make mistakes and not make mistakes themselves, they'll be fine.
Yeah, the one thing though, I guess the thing that I guess you really have to look at is that I guess that Chiefs defense is very, very, I don't want to say mediocre because that's a little bit too of an insult, but I will say that
extremely overrated.
Yeah, it's a very overrated. The Chiefs, I think, were ranked bottom 10 this year in almost, I believe, every defensive.
The Chiefs defense is not good at all. People like to say it is, and it's not. Here's the issue with the Chiefs defense: is the first few weeks against like the first 10 weeks, and they were all in that skid. Mahomes was throwing picks, Kelsey was dropping everything. Hill was just all right. Hill's numbers haven't been what Hill usually does. He's been putting up like 1,000 yards, but like it's not normal what he usually does. It's like little checkdowns. But what I will say is that their defense was garbage, right? Their defense was letting up one play touchdowns and couldn't get off the field and a ton of miscommunication. They've gotten a little better at communicating, but their defense still isn't that good. Their defense is probably one of the worst in the AFC playoff picture right now, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
They just have two players in the defense who can make plays, which is Tyrann Mathieu and Chris Jones.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be like scared of the Chiefs defense at all.
No. The one thing, and I do want to throw this out there. I don't know for anyone who doesn't know, Kansas City has given up over 4,273 yards this season in passing. That's in total.
They allow so many big plays.
Yeah,
Jamar Chase torched them. Their corners aren't good.
Yeah, the corners with Rashad Fenton, Ladarius Sneed.
Yeah.
I can't really think of Juan Thornhill in the secondary along with Tyrann Mathieu on the free safety.
Juan Thornhill doesn't really get snaps. And then Daniel Sorensen's there, who's just not a good player.
Yeah, and then they are also allowing over 117 rushing yards per game. So
yeah, that's a big one. Nick Bolton is a good line. I like Nick Bolton in the middle, but he's just not a good pass coverage linebacker. He's good running though. He's a big prospect coming out of Missouri this year. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see KC doing what people think KC are going to do this year. And you can call me biased from a Titans fan, but I just don't see it. Their defense is weak, and their offense I don't think is what it was at all.
Yeah, I think we can both agree they will get past Pitt, but it's gonna be like I kind of sense I sense a close game in a weird.
I think they'll blow out Pitt because they already played Pitt. I mean, think about it, they played Pitt 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, the one thing too about the NFL is momentum. And who has, I would say, the most momentum right now in this game is coming out of Pittsburgh. They have the momentum. They have nothing. Pittsburgh has nothing to lose here. They can go into this playoffs and they have nothing to lose. So
they definitely have nothing to lose. But at the same time with KC, it's almost intimidating, right? Because you got to think about it. It's not like they got beat week 3 by KC. Week 16, they got destroyed. I mean, they scored their final touchdown with a few minutes left in the fourth quarter, right? They really should have lost 36-3. That is a beat up. They got beat up. They got dominated at the line of scrimmage. The Chiefs O-line did whatever they wanted. The key here is that Tyreek Hill's not healthy. You take Kelsey out of the game, make the Kansas City Chiefs run the football on you, even though Pittsburgh's run defense is not good this year.
No,
it's actually very bad.
They've been like bottom 10, I believe, in running.
They're bottom 5.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah, they're actually bottom 2. So I think if you make KC run on you, that's your best chance to win, and then keep it away from them. That's what you have to do if you're Pittsburgh this year.
If Pittsburgh wants to come out with a win here, they're gonna need to not give up 146 rushing yards a game is what they average. So. And now going on to the questionables, though, for this week, listed questionable for Kansas City. And I'm kind of surprised running the ball wise. We just got done talking about it. Both starting running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams, are both questionable. And the game is this Sunday. Now, obviously, it's still early-ish to sit here and say, well, you never know. But if they are not cleared by Thursday and the Kansas City is forced to throw the ball, Pittsburgh's going to have a tough game.
But I think the thing that Pittsburgh has for them is that if they know they're throwing the ball right, number one, none of those running backs are really good, for being honest. Williams probably isn't playing. Edwards is really questionable because he got hurt in the Pittsburgh game, I think, actually. I think without Tyreek Hill, because he's probably, even if he's playing, he's not healthy. His ankle's just not healthy, right? I think what you kind of go off of is, all right, keep everything in front of you. Don't let a big play over the top at all. Keep everything in front of you. Make Mahomes check you down the whole time, and then run the ball well. And that gives T.J. Watt and Cameron Hayward. That means they know what's going to be a pass situation, and just let the pass rushers do what they do and create opportunities for secondary. And the Chiefs O-line, I mean, I would say has been kind of inconsistent this year, if you could agree. The middle's been good, but the outside tackles have just not been good. Which is the main thing. They traded for what? Orlando Brown, and then their other right tackle, I don't even know what his name is.
Yeah, they're right. They're tackle. They're both outside tackles have had underperforming years this year. So obviously, TJ Watt. If Patrick Mahomes is going to be forced to run away with his life again, like if they have that same game plan that the Bucs had in the Super Bowl, that'll be scary for Mahomes. And we know that Mahomes cannot do things under pressure like that because we saw what happened in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
The Bucs
I'm gonna
did-
pick.
oh, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna I'm gonna pick Kansas City to win this game. I'm just saying that Pittsburgh may give them trouble. I don't know. Could the inconsistency come back for Kansas City? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go KC by 10. I'm not gonna say the exact score. I'll say KC by 10.
Yeah, I'll say Kansas City by a touchdown.
I think KC won't score a ton, but I do think Pittsburgh just can't score on any defense, whether it's bottom 2 or top 10.
Yeah, I'll say Kansas City wins by 7. I said it'll be a close game. So now moving on to Saturday night. Well, the jersey that I'm wearing right now is representing this game. Patriots will be taking a trip to Buffalo this weekend on Saturday night, 7:15 on CBS. They will be going up against the Bill Belichick Patriots with quarterback under center Mac Jones, rookie quarterback starting in his first NFL playoff this year after being drafted this year by the New England Patriots. This game, honestly, I feel like this game has just been like with every time that these two have played, it has been oddly just weird games and circumstances of Buffalo in that cold game and that game where it was super windy. The winds were high. All it was a bunch of field goals. Mac only threw for 3 times. And then you have the, Buffalo Bills who then came in on the day after Christmas and just absolutely dismantled them. I mean, they were beating the brakes off of them from the absolute beginning. Now, to me, this game, I think, Dylan, you can agree with me. This will probably be the highlight of the entire AFC side, I believe. You don't think so? Of the AFC division, at the wild card round, at least?
I think the Vegas Bengals game will be good, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So Buffalo was favored by 4 points.
Mhm.
But here's where it really becomes interesting. Number one, the high in Buffalo is 0 degrees. All right, that's the high. So it's going to be cold, right?
Right.
Now, I do want to go over this real quick. Let's look at the injuries, right? Buffalo has 0 injured players in the injury list. 0.
And
Patriots have Jacoby Myers questionable, Kyle Duggar questionable, Adrian Phillips questionable, Jalen Mills out, and Jamie Collins out. Or Jamie Collins questionable. Those are good players for New England's defense, right? Those are good players. So here's what I think is interesting about this: is Buffalo is not a good running team. All right, no matter who tells you this, they're not. They don't have a good running back. Allen is their best rusher, and he's their quarterback, right? They're bad in the cold. I know it sounds crazy that they're from Buffalo, but the Falcons, light dusting of snow, Josh Allen throws 3 picks. He had 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns rushing. That's great. But they can't throw in the snow or in the really cold, and that's bad for Buffalo because we know how Bill Belichick plays. Here's the simple fact of it is if Josh Allen can take the game into his hands, not make mistakes. If you look at the after Christmas game, he was the reason they won that game. He made way more plays than anyone else in their team did. He torched New England. He would run around, just chuck throws that are crazy. The issue I think here is if Allen messes up on a turnover, fumbles, throws a pick, or the running back fumbles, and he can't get the ball to Stephon Diggs, who I imagine Bill Belichick will scheme around, so he has to throw to people like Isaiah McKenzie and stuff like that. If he can scheme around Diggs, I think this will be a close game. Like, this will be a really close game. This will be like a 3-point game. I'll take Buffalo by 3, but this will be interesting seeing how Allen plays, because Allen just hasn't played good throwing wise in the snow.
Going back to what you were saying about Josh Allen and how he threw that game, surprisingly enough, the leading receiver, do you know who that leading receiver was for that Buffalo Patriots game after Christmas? Isaiah McKenzie going off for 11 receptions, 125 yards and a TD. Now, again,
he had a great game that game.
Yeah,
that was the best Allen versus Patriots game. The first game just was bad.
I feel like that game that he had versus the Patriots this year, that game was literally whoever just ran the ball better.
That game wasn't really on him because he actually had a few touchdowns that just dropped, like bad drops.
Yeah.
And then Mac Jones threw 2 times.
And then you were sitting here saying that New England not New England. Josh Allen was their leading rusher with 12 carries and 64 yards. Now, my thing is this. Damian Harrison, this is a thing that we didn't talk about. Damian Harrison.
I was saying Josh Allen against Atlanta had 120 yards. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Damian Harris from the Patriots had 103 yards and 3 TDs on 18 carries versus Buffalo.
But I will say like 60 of those were off one run.
Yeah, let me look here. There was a 16-yard run. It was a 1-yard run.
Is this the game before Christmas or after Christmas?
8-yard run. This was on December 26th, so this was after.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the first one. So the first one he had that big like 60-yarder.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. But now the thing is though, is that says something right there that they cannot cover because that Damian Harris that well. And I understand that it was he had 1-yard run. So I will subtract that 1-yard run from him, but still getting 103 yards in total of the touchdown yards. He's had 9 plus 16, rounded up to like 24, 25. That's 25 yards. That's just in his touchdown runs in general. That's minus the 103 yards. They need to really worry about Damian Harris because I feel like that is the one guy that Damian Harris could probably torch Buffalo in my eyes. He could maybe torch Buffalo.
He could. I think their run defense just played bad against Damian Harris the first game, especially. Second game, Patriots were down by a ton. It was kind of not a game anymore, and they just ran the ball.
I agree.
They don't trust Mac. It's actually extremely apparent they don't trust Mac Jones.
No.
So if Buffalo jumps on a lead, Colin Cowherd compares Buffalo perfectly. He compares Buffalo to Mike Tyson, right? So if he hits you with obviously that one knockout punch, then you're done, right? Buffalo can jump up to a 21-0 lead in 3 possessions. But they're not the prettiest to watch because they sometimes just aren't that good of an offense.
Yeah.
Their defense is good, but it's a little overrated.
Whose?
Buffalo's.
Well, they do need to worry about, though, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, who this year have both combined for a total of 10 interceptions, on both of their years. They both have 5 on. And after losing Trey White, those guys have really stepped up, Jordan Poyer and Mike Hyde. So that's the
issue with both of them is they're both really bad at defending the run.
Yeah. So that's going to be Hyde. No, I would
They're both bad. They're both not.
I don't watch Buffalo games. So probably in Green Bay, when I saw Micah Hyde, he was kind of decent on the run, but in Buffalo, not
really.
Yeah,
it's different schemes. I think Micah Hyde plays a lot over top, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So for this game, I'm going to go with Buffalo, but shockingly, this will be a low-scoring game. Reason being, it's going to be 0 degrees, 14-mile-per-hour winds. Expect interceptions on both sides. Just say that out there.
I'll go Buffalo by 3 because playoff games are different, man. These playoff games, you're not going to see blowouts most likely. Possessions are really you can't take a possession for granted, Yeah. So I'll go Buffalo by 3. I just don't see them blowing out Patriots with how smart of a coach Bill Belichick is.
Yeah, and if we're being also quite honest here too, Buffalo also, meaning if they have also been a little inconsistent this year too. They have not really performed to that, thing. So this weekend, if Josh Allen, number 1, can't show inconsistency, and 2, we're going to find out which defense is better by after the end of Saturday night. Because it's whoever. And now if none of these players that you said, Kyle Duggar, Adrian Phillips, 2 guys right there, 2 safeties that have been absolutely phenomenal for them this season. And then Jalen Mills, cornerback. These names don't sound like heavy hitters, but in this schematic, guys,
they're big players.
The Patriots are like a top 5 defense. So we really, really need to look in, hope to God, if Patriot fans want to be able to get this. I do have this as a low scoring game though. If it was that windy in that one game that they had a couple of weeks ago, expect the same amount of stuff and expect the same amount of rushing yards from the same guys. Watch. Yeah. So the next game we will be going to is probably going to be, I would say this would be the only high scoring game. Honest to God. This game right here will be going into the Raiders. Well, the Raiders will be taking a visit to Cincinnati. A couple of months ago, back when we were predicting teams and where they would be going, I would not have expected the Raiders and the Bengals as a first round matchup. I would not expect that. Now, this game, obviously, this is a game that, that the Raiders really wanted to have after that week 18, probably game of the year matchup versus the Chargers. Going into that game, winner was in, loser was out, or if there was a tie, which that almost did happen if Brandon Staley didn't take that timeout. For those who don't know, Brandon Staley did call that timeout. They were gonna tie, but Staley kind of ruined it. So now
obviously Staley didn't know they were gonna tie.
Yeah, basically, I guess what me and Dylan are trying to say, Brandon Staley outsmarted himself in that situation, and he kind of screwed himself in that way. So now, Raiders are going in 10-7. Bengals are 10-7. But if we're going to be honest here, no offense to Raiders at all whatsoever, because I do like the Raiders a lot. They are not a 10-7 team, personally. I don't think their record speaks for themselves. I'm going to just be the realist guy here. They're a great team, no doubt about it. They did win the games that they had to win out the season. They played the Browns. They played the Broncos, the Colts, who was a good game. That was a good game for them to win because everyone would have expected them to lose to the Colts. And then they beat the Chargers in a nail biter. I will say, though, this Raiders team will take you to a high scoring game easily. They are top 10 in passing yards this year. They are top 10 in rushing yards this year. This is an offensive team that doesn't really have the weapons like of a Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins or a Tyler Boyd. But this team has the assets in their eyes that make them top 10 in these situations. I mean, what do you think? What do you think about Oakland, Dylan? Or Las Vegas? My bad.
Vegas is probably one of, honestly, if not the hottest team coming into the playoffs. I mean, think about they're winning. I mean, they've looked past 2 games. They beat the Colts, who at the time were considered Super Bowl contenders. Right, they were on a tear, and then they beat the Chargers, who have, I mean, a top 5 quarterback arguably right now, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you beat 2 really good teams in games that you had to win, which those are the games that matter. The games that you have to win are the ones that matter, right?
Yeah.
Those are what show how good a team actually is, right? They probably don't have the best roster, right? You look at their wide receivers, you have like Brian Edwards, you have Hunter Renfrow. He's a good receiver, but he's a soft receiver, right? Yeah. You have Darren Waller, all-world tight end, great tight end. And the defense, it's man. I mean, you have a arguably top 3 edge. Mike Crosby is a dominant player.
And Unique Ngakoue too. And I mean, him and Unique Ngakoue have been
it's more Max Crosby. I mean, I think his stats against Chargers were like 3 pass deflections, 2.5 sacks. Like, he just killed Chargers.
One guy too on that Chargers defense is Denzel Perryman too. Now, obviously, a guy who's not very talked about, but he does. I think he does lead the league in tackles.
He does not anymore.
Oh, it's Bobby. It's B-Wags. It's B-Wags now.
I think actually the guy from Atlanta won it.
Oh yeah, Ulukan won it. Yeah. Well, let me rephrase. Denzel Perryman, probably a top 10, top 5 tackler in the NFL, which is really good. Their defense is very, like Dylan said, meh. It
has the stars. It's kind of like LA's defense, Chargers defense. It has the stars that can make plays, but it doesn't have the depth. Deep.
It's not.
Depth for defense is so important.
Yeah.
I think what it'll come down to is number one, Denzel Perryman's not a good linebacker. He gets tackles, he gets burnt in coverage. He's a decent run defender, but coverage is a pain, which is bad against the Bengals. Yeah. I don't feel like the Raiders have a corner that can match up. Simply can match up on Jamar T. The Bengals wide receiver core is like the most scary thing in the playoffs right now, to be honest, because I don't think there's a single team that can, at any point, man up those receivers and send pressure and reasonably do it. I mean, if you look at it, the Titans have maybe 1-2 good corners and 2 good safeties. Chiefs don't have any good corners. Bills maybe if Trey White's healthy, but he's not healthy.
Yeah.
Who else? Patriots
would shut them down, but then they just go
I don't know if they would, because the Patriots secondary is hurt now. We still over this.
Yeah.
If they were healthy, if everybody was healthy, maybe. But the fact that the Bengals are healthy wide receiver wise what's going to come down to is Joe Burrow and Derek Carr. Funny thing, has the same amount of playoff experience. They both never played a playoff game. Derek Carr's never played a playoff game.
I will say to the people watching, Derek Carr has made a playoff with the Raiders, but he didn't play because I think had that. That's what that year they hit the MCL sprain.
That was 2016 when he went out. He was going off that year.
Yeah, it was. They were the 12-4 Raiders. They were going in, and he tore his labrum or something in the final.
Yeah, he did. I think it was it was really bad.
Yeah, and Burrow. And for Burrow, too, this game means a lot for Burrow, too, because Burrow, for those who don't know, is a comeback player of the year candidate for one who I think maybe after all of this is said and done might have the edge on Dak. I don't know. It's really close between him and Dak, and it's a lot closer than people think it is. Burrow has came out this year and has just been playing out of his, amazing. 4,600 yards, 34 TDs. For anyone now that says they should have taken an O-lineman, no. Clearly, Jamar Chase, I don't even know how to say this, but Jamar Chase fixed everything.
It didn't. I don't know. It's the perception because the Bengals right now are, to be honest, they're the media darlings, right? Everyone loves the Bengals. They're a top 5 team. They're not. All right. They're a good team and they make plays on bad defenses. Let's be fair here.
Yeah.
What good defense has Bengals just tore apart? No one, which is fine. Play good against the bad teams. It's good. The issue right now is, number one, Burrow is still the most sacked quarterback in the NFL.
Yes.
If you want to talk about it, he still is.
Mm-hmm.
Their O-line is just not good. They have weapons, but no O-line. And sadly, they have a second-year head coach, a bad O-line. That's why I don't think the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl, like we're saying. They're not. They have a second-year coach who's never had a playoff game as a head coach. They have an O-line, which is still bottom 5 in the NFL. And they just have talent, which is great, but their defense isn't that good either. If their defense is top 15 or something in passing and rush, then maybe you could say this. But with the inexperienced head coach, the inexperienced quarterback, and just the battle line, and the amount of interceptions that Joe Burrow throws, he throws a lot of picks because he likes forcing it downfield. If they play too high safety, it's going to be hard with 2 good safeties. It's going to be hard for Joe Burrow to make those big splash plays. It's kind of like how Mahomes was the first 6 weeks. If you make him check you down, that's how you win against Burrow because he wants to force it downfield.
Yeah, I will say the one impressive team by looking at their schedule this year that they played, and they kind of made it a game. Well, they made it. I think everyone remember this. Week 5, 25-22 versus the Green Bay Packers, lost in OT to a game winner field goal.
They should have won that game.
Yeah, that game was easily the Bengals. I think that's when both teams were just missing field goals.
They missed 3 straight. It was something. Come on. It happens, but obviously it's a worse type.
But now, I don't know if anyone knows this though, but the Bengals did play Las Vegas this year already, and the Bengals won and manhandled them 32-13. But what's crazy is that the leading receiver of that team that game wasn't Chase, wasn't Higgins. It was Tyler Boyd.
Points against receiver.
I know. But how many receiving yards do you think Tyler Boyd had on the Raiders defense?
I'm going to go 95 or something.
49 yards. He was.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, they got outplayed. They had more time possession, but the Vegas Raiders had more yards.
Yeah, but Mixon did go off that game. Mixon did go off that game with 123 yards. It's not even Mixon's highest game of the year.
What week was that, though?
That was week 11.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, the week that Mixon went off was week 12, the week following.
That was a good win for them, definitely. I don't think, unlike the Pittsburgh game, it's replicating because teams change over the year, right?
Yeah.
I got Vegas losing by a score at least, and I'm saying the score, I mean the touchdown. I think they're going to lose by at least 7 because I think the biggest thing in playoffs are matchups and head coach. Or matchups and coaching, right? I think the Raiders don't match up well defensively versus the offense, right? Maybe offensively Vegas matches up well, but I don't think they match up defensively, which is the big thing against the Bengals.
Yeah.
And then coaching-wise, Zach Taylor's a coach of the year candidate. He's had a good year. A little overrated. I call it really overrated, but a little overrated. But the Raiders coach is just super experienced. Obviously with the whole John Gruden thing, he's not a head coach. He's really experienced. I think when it comes down to coaching and matchups, the Bengals will take this game probably pretty handedly.
Yeah.
But it should be a really good game. I think.
And the one thing too that we really didn't even get into was that Bengals defense too. Now, obviously, their defense is not the best, but obviously it's worth talking about. Obviously, with probably one of the best top 2 free safety in the league, Jesse Bates. Bates coming in this year, and then they have Mike Hilton, Logan Wilson, who I've been a major fan of. You can ask even Dylan. I'm a big fan of Logan Wilson, who I believe has been playing phenomenal this year. And we also did not mention to go over the injury report too. So Vegas's injury report, we have Trevon Moehrig, who's questionable, Nicholas Morrell, who's on IR, Darius Philin, who's defensive tackle, who's on injury reserve, Darren Waller questionable, and Josh Jacobs also questionable for that game.
They'll all play.
Yeah, they'll most likely play. And then on the Bengals side, Auden Tate, injury reserve, Jalen Davis, questionable. T. Higgins, though, the only player that really stands out of all these guys, T. Higgins is questionable, but he will, if he does play, that's fine. But I think they wouldn't really even need him that game either.
He's a special receiver. He's
like AJ Green, honest to God. He honestly reminds me of AJ Green. I mean, he's 6'4".
He honestly, like, this is gonna sound crazy, but he reminds me a lot of D-Hop, like young D-Hop. He makes every catch. His route running isn't pristine yet. He makes every catch he throws to him. And when I'm talking about matchups, right? Chase, who can match up on Vegas on Chase? No one. Who is big enough to match up on Higgins? No one.
No one.
Who's a better slot corner to match up on one of the best slot wide receivers in the NFL, Tyler Boyd? No one. They just don't match up well defensively.
And Higgins, I will say, I believe if I'm correct, 2 out of the 3 wide receivers for the Bengals I hit 1K yards this year, which was T. Higgins and Jamar Chase with Tyler Boyd at 828. But I mean, still, that's massively impressive.
I think Mixon had like 1,500 yards from scrimmage too. Mixon had a good year too.
Let me read off Mixon stats. Joe Mixon this year recorded the amount of he went into this year with on 292 attempts, which is 3rd in the league, and he had a 1,200 yard year.
How much yards from scrimmage?
13 TDs, yards of scrimmage. He had our total of rushing yards of 1,200, and then of yards of receiving 314. So he capped off the year around 1,500 offensive yards this year on 3 TDs. So he had over 16 touchdowns on over 1,500 offensive yards.
Yeah.
Mixon went off this year. Mixon had a great year this year. So I'm going to give this game to the Bengals. I'm going to give it to them by I'm going to give it to them by 10. I go Bengals by 10. But I don't know. This game, it feels weird. In this game, I feel like there's going to be I feel like the Raiders could pull this game out. I don't know why. But like if this game came down to like experience.
But who on Raiders have experience?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If Derek Carr hasn't played a playoff game. But Derek Carr has been in the league longer, at least. That's the one thing he has on him. I don't know. This game just throws me in a weird way. I don't know why, but it just gives me like I could see the Raiders beating the Bengals, and wouldn't even think it would be an upset.
It'd be an upset. I do think the Bengals will win here. I think they'll lose in the second round because they're going to probably play Tennessee. But I think
a little biasy.
I think we just match up.
Well, wait, now let me ask you this. So if whoever wins this game, do they go and play Tennessee, whoever wins this game?
It's the lowest seed.
Huh?
It's the lowest seed. So if we go by predictions, right? KC wins, Buffalo wins, Bengals win. That means Cincy would come to Tennessee.
And then we would get a rematch of Bills Chiefs. I'm sorry.
I love the AFC. Dude, the AFC this year is so good. I'm so excited for these playoffs. The AFC is because really think about it, like other than Pittsburgh, would any team come out of maybe other than Vegas, would any team out of Cincy, New England, Kansas City, Tennessee, and Buffalo, if they come out of the AFC, would you be surprised? Other than Las Vegas and Pittsburgh, maybe even Vegas.
I think we can all agree as long as it's not Kansas City, we're cool.
I don't think Kansas City's going to do good this year. I think they're going to lose in the second round.
If they go up against New England, I'm worried that Chiefs are going to like blow them out. I feel like if the Chiefs played the Pats with what happened in the past between those two teams,
if the Chiefs played New England, I think they'd win. If Chiefs played Buffalo, I don't think they win that game. I just don't. And I don't think, and even if they do, I don't think the Chiefs are going to beat us either. We routed them earlier. We beat them by 24.
Yeah, and I'm literally I feel
and big thing, Chiefs would come to Tennessee. But another big thing for Buffalo is they'd have to go to Arrowhead, which is big.
Well, everyone that you would play has to go to Tennessee.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
you don't want to play in the playoffs in Arrowhead.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll talk about
in Buffalo.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Titans too because they're in the playoffs. They're just the first round bye. Obviously, they're getting Derrick Henry back, which is probably that's literally like the biggest thing for them, getting him back. Thankfully, now the Titans. I don't know. I watch every Titan game with Dylan, and I've decided that team doesn't have like the star players to win the games, but they shut down literally everybody, and it's in the weirdest ways.
We're a weird team to watch, man. Because now everybody, like what you expect is like Buffalo and Cincy and KC. That's who you like see in the media. So you just see these people who are throwing 40 times a game. Tennessee doesn't. We just run the ball. If we don't turn the ball over, we win every game. If we just don't turn the ball over. But AJ's back. And Julio had a good game last week.
When did Derrick Henry get hurt, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I remember talking to a friend about this after the KC game, and he looked slow, which was week 7. And then week 8, he played against the Colts, and that's when he got hurt. So he's been out since week 8.
What's crazy is that only at week 8, Derrick Henry was at 937 yards.
He was top 10 rushing.
Yeah, and you guys are a top 10 rush. You guys are a top 5 rushing team in the NFL, actually.
Well, Deontay Foreman's a good running back, which I don't think, if you think about it, right? Deontay Foreman's like a mini Henry, right? He just runs the ball 20, 30 times a game, and he just runs into people. Who wants to play that? You're just going to get beat up all game. And we have a good pass rush this year. I love the Titans this year, man. And now Julio had a good game last week. I know the stats aren't great, but he played great. Yeah, he should have had a wide open touchdown. Tannehill just threw him like an inch. He had, I think, 4 receptions, 60 yards touchdown, his first touchdown. Great to see Julio and Tannehill get chemistry. AJ Brown. And Henry's coming back. But the biggest thing about Henry is you're understanding that his foot healed, right? But now you have to understand is that he hasn't played since week 8. His legs are fresh. And I mean, think about it. He hasn't taken a hit since week 8.
Whoever plays Tennessee, I don't know even whether to feel bad for him. All I'm going to say is that if Tennessee, this is okay, and I've watched many Titans games. You can vouch, Dylan. I've watched almost every Titan game with you, probably except for the week 18 game where you actually went to the game. This team, this is Tennessee's window. But
I will say Tennessee is the most disrespected 1 seed I've seen like ever. Like if you look at the media, Tennessee is being classified as number 1, not even the best in the AFC. Sometimes not even top 2 team in the AFC. Sometimes even top 3. I've seen people say KC, Cincy, and Buffalo over us. And people are making polls. Tennessee's the worst 1 seed since when? And like people are saying like 2001 and stuff. It's insane. Tennessee's a good team. They win games. They have a coach of the year candidate.
The thing with Tennessee is that Tennessee makes you play their game.
Tennessee isn't flashy, so people don't like them.
Tennessee is old-fashioned. They don't score a ton of points. I think the highest that they've scored this year was 37 points. And if we're being honest here, guys, Tennessee blew the backs out of Kansas City. And I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, Kansas City looks bad. That's when they were bad. A loss is a loss. And last time I checked, everyone on Tennessee and the Patriots. And
also, but I think the biggest thing about the game is that was when Henry was still on the field, right? So that's Henry has such an impact of just being on the field. It's the linebackers to play down. But even if you look at when we didn't have that, I mean, look, we couldn't rely on our offense against LA, and we killed LA. Right, our defense is people still think our defense is like bottom 2. It's a really good defense. It's like it's miles better than it was last year. I'm not going to say we're going to win the Super Bowl or anything, but
we
are a good team this year. Our defense is opportunistic. We almost tripled our sacks this year from last year. Like we had 19 total sacks as a team last year. 19
and how much
total last year. We have 47 this year.
Tennessee, I believe, by going off of this list here, is probably ranked top 13 in defense. They allow over 329 yards a game.
We have some bad games and we have some good games.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing, though, is that one thing I will say, and you might get mad at me for saying this about your beloved Titans, but honest to God, I mean, if we're going to be real here, there's one thing that I don't want to look over because it did happen. You guys did technically, you guys did lose to the Jets and the Texans.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that you guys are, the number one seed. Good for you. But the one thing is that, like, if a team catches you guys on a bad day, they take advantage of that.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing is we're 8-2 against playoff teams.
Yeah, well, no, that's the thing. That's fine. I'm just saying that, like, what I see in Tennessee is that, like, Tennessee, they could be in the zone. They'll be there.
I think the biggest thing is I think this year, what team didn't? I mean, Buffalo got destroyed by Jacksonville.
The only playoff team you didn't beat this year was that are in the playoffs technically was the Pitt game, which I watched that Pitt game. That Pitt game was called horribly.
And we just weren't healthy.
Yeah, and I mean,
same with the Patriots. I mean, we were throwing to Nick Westbrook-Akina and just Nick Westbrook. I mean, I'm not going to make excuses about injuries. Yeah. But, like, literally, Patriots, AJ didn't play, and then Pittsburgh, AJ and Julio were both on IR.
Yeah. So that game's like.
You probably should have won the Pitt game.
The fact that was only a 6-point game by Pitt with that team.
Our defense played well.
Yeah. And then that Patriots game, now, y'all, if you guys play New England, like, healthy, like, I don't know what would happen, but, like, that stuff can't happen, though, versus.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the biggest thing about the game is, number one, the score looks bad. Like, the score looks like we got short. It was a close game. They scored like a ton.
But they scored a lot of late touchdowns.
Yeah, they scored a lot of late. And I think the biggest thing was we let up a few touchdowns that shouldn't have been let up in the first few quarters, but we ran for over 220 yards of offense. We just fumbled like 3 times. It was a weird game. Like, turnovers.
I remember that.
2 picks. We had like 3 fumbles from 3 different running backs.
Yeah.
AJ was out. It was a bad game. It was just a rough game.
Yeah, Westbrook was your leading receiver that game with 2 receptions and 25 yards.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Tannehill's getting hot now, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, that will be the end of this thing. You guys will see this probably tomorrow. The day it comes out will be tomorrow, January 13th. Then on Friday, the episode of the NFC, where we will be reviewing the NFC side, which is what Dylan likes to call the boring side of football. Yeah. Which will be reviewing the Eagles-Buccaneers game, 49ers-Cowboys, and last but not least, the Cardinals and Rams game. We will be reviewing those tomorrow. That video will come out Friday, so make sure you guys keep notifications turned on to hear what our, predictions will be. And yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching the episode today. And I hope all of you have a great day. And I am not bandwagoning this team. I'm going to let everyone know this now. I do not want the Patriots to win anything. I already said on TikTok who I want to win the entire thing. I already have my final 4 picked out. So go watch. Dylan, do you have any last words to say except for tighten up?
Titans win the Super Bowl. Let's go.
All right. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the divisional.